These days, it takes someone getting shot in the freaking neck for us all to be talking about the same thing at the same time. That's because the mainstream is dead. What's up, guys? It's Shokin, and today I want to talk about how the death of monoculture led to us all living in our own little bubbles, disconnected from each other and lonelier than ever. And if you're unfamiliar with the idea of monoculture, it's basically the idea that we all used to share the same experiences through entertainment. For the most part, when we were younger, we were all watching the same movies, we watched the same shows, played the same games, simply because it's all we were fed, at least over here in the US. And at first, I rejected this idea that we all shared the same experiences because when I was younger, I was a very anti-mainstream culture kid. I was really cynical. I thought anything that was popular was dumb, maybe outside of video games I played. But what really solidified this idea that the monoculture is dead is when I looked at the state of music right now. When I look at the top 5 songs on Billboard this week, I have no idea who any of these people are. Outside of maybe Sabrina Carpenter, but even still, I could not tell you what these songs are or what they sound like. Yet, the numbers say that these are the most popular songs in the US. Interesting, right? Now let's compare that to a random week in 2015. Look at this. The Weeknd, Justin Bieber, The Weeknd again, Drake's Hotline Bling, Silento, Watch Me. Holy throwbacks. And if you go further, you even see Fetty Wap in there because, you know, he dominated during this era. These songs just hit so different. I mean, I can't explain it. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing these songs. Like, this list makes sense. And I just don't think that's the case for today's mainstream music. And the numbers kind of support this, because if you look at a #1 song today, it gets 50% less streams than a #1 song back in even 2017. Yet, there's more people than ever streaming music on these platforms. It doesn't add up, right? Well, that is thanks to the internet. We live in a world now where we do not need mainstream music, movies, shows, or even games to entertain us. Now, don't get me wrong, every once in a while we do have a big shared mainstream moment. Like, I started out this video mentioning the Charlie Kirk situation. But there's also been other moments, of course, like there was the Drake and Kendrick beef, the Titanic submarine imploding, Hawk Tuah girl, Chill Guy, but all these events and things, depending on what you believe, of course, these events were not purposefully orchestrated to generate mainstream appeal the same way a hit song or a blockbuster movie is. These things happen by accident or just organically because we chose them, including the whole Barbenheimer thing. Like, yeah, of course there was a lot of marketing involved, but I think it really took off as a result of us using the internet and endlessly memeing about it to make it this big significant moment. And as mainstream as that moment was, I got away with not watching either movie and I didn't feel any FOMO. Same with Love Island. Like, I have not seen a single episode of that show or really even know what it's about. I mean, I can guess. But my point is, I didn't feel the impact of not watching it. At least not like back in the day how we used to when we would experience the serious FOMO when we would go to class or work and everybody was talking about this show. For the most part these days, we all kind of just stay in our own little bubbles, and if nothing penetrates that bubble, then that's just it, you know, we stay in our lane. So that's kind of what I mean by the death of mainstream and the death of monoculture. They can't get us to care about anything, at least not the same way we did back in the day. And the simple reason for this is TikTok. Monoculture might be dead, but the birth of TikTok-style algorithms created infinite mini-cultures. Perfectly curated content that makes your feed so different from anyone else's that it allows you to fully immerse yourself in your own personal doom-scrolling prison. Now it doesn't matter what your specific interests are, you can instantly be fed content on that interest. And I talked about this at length in my other video about why everyone's quitting social media. But these TikTok style algorithms made their way to every other platform, so if you use social media today, all the content is being specifically curated and tailored to you and only you. And in some ways, this could be a good thing. I mean, you know, it allows you to learn a whole lot more about these little niche topics that you're interested in, and that can make social media a lot more entertaining, as opposed to just being forced into whatever the mainstream wants you to see. It also eliminates the need for big corporate entities to put their hands on it and manipulate it into some overproduced thing, because anybody can make content. So it could be as raw, authentic, or as polished as you want. It really doesn't matter. You can just kind of find what you want and curate your own feed. But then there's the downside. The downside is that a lot of us are having a very hard time relating to each other now. It may sound really silly, but bonding over a 6-second Vine that you know everyone's watched, or the latest blockbuster movie, that used to help build relationships. But if we're all watching something different, we lose that common ground. A TikTok video could have 60 million views and I still wouldn't have seen it. Nor would I recognize the person that was in the video in the real world. Like bro, I have no clue what this 6'7" joke is all about, and I could not care less. And I have the luxury to do that because that does not penetrate my little cultural bubble. But if you're not careful, living in these little cultural bubbles can create impenetrable echo chambers. And what I mean by that is just your feed will be so curated towards a certain specific type of content that you don't get any kind of outside perspective on it. So people start to get brainwashed by the craziest stuff in the world, and they just believe it because there's a whole community out there supporting it. So it's not like they feel alone or they feel shamed. Like, no, they found the support for this weird thing. And that can get pretty culty and honestly dangerous. Overall, personalized social media feeds make it so hard for everyone to have those shared cultural moments we used to have. You know, unless someone gets shot in the freaking neck and it gets posted online for the world to see. Sorry, I just can't get over that. But yeah, I think the death of monoculture is the reason we love nostalgia so much too. And it has the tightest grip on Gen Z and millennials like me, because we're the first generations to really have our childhoods recorded through the internet. And because of this, it's so easy to go back and find that clip or that old episode that made you feel those cherished moments from when you were a kid or a teenager. And the mainstream knows this. They know how much we love nostalgia. And that's why everything is a remake now. Everything's a spin-off or a sequel. It's why artists are re-releasing their old classics, sampling classics. There was just something so special about the world before social media completely took over and we got so disconnected. And I mean, honestly, there's also a case to be made that things were just better when we were younger. I could go on a whole rant about how the quality of things is in the dumpster these days, but maybe I'll save that for another video. Bottom line, monoculture died, and it was a double-edged sword. Because now we are free to explore any interests we want, but we usually miss out on sharing those same interests with people in real life. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments. Was there ever really a monoculture, or do all generations experience this when they get older and busier like I am? Looking forward to chatting with you guys in the comments. Shokin!